Oh, well, hey, everybody. What's going on? Hey, guess what? It's Tuesday. It's 6 p.m. ish. And we're live here on this 31st day of January. And I just got some cool news. Jeff and I have a phone call that we need to make right after the end of this show. We got to go talk to our insurance dude who's got some plans, policy stuff written up that we need to go talk to him about right after the show. So we can tell you some basic information about what we talked about earlier today. There's something, yeah, we do have some information. But hey, you know what? Let's do this. Let me get Jeff in here because I forgot to push that button. And there he is. There's the Mr. Jeff Morton. Welcome to the show, sir. I like it. Hey. So let's see. We've got stuff going on. People have been talking in the chat for a while already.
Who was first? Who was first today?
Sean, Bear Hunter was the first, but is he still here? Did he get here and leave just so he could be first and then bounce? I don't know. Let's see. Who do we got? Bear Hunter was in here because he had to post it. I'm first. Bitcoin John's in El Paso hanging out. Had some conversations going on. Trucker Dan, what's up, Trucker Dan? Hey, Dan. Brian Jess is here. Tried to tell me that I was late when we still had 10 minutes to go. I'm like, whatever, bro.
Whatever.
Right? Always got to be stirring a pot or something, I guess. I don't know. But whatever. Dennis Lewis is up in here, up in this biznatch. Good afternoon, everyone. Charley and Jeff also like we're an afterthought. I appreciate that. Thank you, sir. Michael Ford. It's
ice-ish.
Ice-ish. That's a hard. Why is that so hard to say? Ice-ish. To say. Craig Hutchinson, what's going on? Jonah Green's all up in this place too. I was gonna say Clarence. That I was like, my brain broke. K. Lawrence McIntyre, what's up? My brain. What do you want from me? Callie Hustle, good to see you. Ismael Castaneda. Hello. Alan Becker's all up in here too. Paul Phillips. Good to see y'all. Glad you're here hanging out with us, talking some stuff. Like we're here every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Have been here for we're getting close to a little over a year and a half now, working on our second year here, doing this thing that we do that we like to call Contractors Corner. Just hanging out with y'all, passing on the info every chance we can. Jason Caps all up in here. Life on 18 Wheels. I see you, sir. Jason Caps. Hope you're doing well, brother. David Jones. Look at people still just coming in. I dig it. James Vaughn. Look. Now they're just clicking and popping. I dig it, y'all. So we had some stuff to talk about. We should get to the fuel surcharge real quick. I should probably get that out of the way real quick, and we'll hash that out. Let me get to that. I forgot to click on that button. Got to make that fix first. Got to click on that button. Then we'll click on this button right here. I didn't even. And the national average has gone up 0.018 cents to bring the national average to 4.622 per gallon. West Coast Pad 5 diesel went up as well, 0.031 cents. That brings it to $5.12.5. Basically, it brings our fuel surcharge up to 0.564 cents per loaded dispatch mile. That's a whopping increase of 0.003 cents per loaded dispatch mile. The West Coast fuel surcharge stayed at 8 cents again. That gap between the West Coast and the national actually increased a little bit last week. We were actually in jeopardy of it going down to 7 cents, but the gap opened up a little bit more, brought it up to 50 cents. So that's why that West Coast is at 8 cents. So let's get out of here and go back to that stuff. I'll get the little ticker going across the bottom and we'll move on with the show. What do you say? So, yeah, and I forgot to put that little graphic back up right there because, I didn't click fast enough. Anyhow, so let me do this banner across the bottom here so anyone wondering about that. And those of you who know the phone number, if you want to call in, feel free to call in 813-548-3722. You can give us a ring. We'll try and take your call. If I actually pay attention to that screen, I apologize. Sometimes I get scrolled out and I don't see that screen. Otherwise, it's 813 live SCC. You can dial that number and we will take your calls if you got questions and stuff you want to talk about us directly on the phones. We can do that. Yeah. So check this out. We were talking just before the show. We've been waiting on getting some insurance stuff. Uh, we did kind of come to a conclusion right now. So guys that are trainers, this is not going to be a happy thing for you guys, and we apologize for this, but we got to get this insurance out to as many people as we can to start with. So what we're going to advise right now is because even when I've heard about the OIDA insurance, if you have a student, I'm still actually waiting for further confirmation on how that whole process goes. If you have a student and you're on one of these outside insurance carriers, that then you got to call them, and there could be a price adjustment, that sort of thing, because of experience and driving history and all those sort of things. It might be your best route at this point right now, because we don't know what we're going to be able to work out in the near future, to go ahead and stick with the Swift insurance and get their camera. And while it's not the most ideal situation, it's still a great price. Let's be real. You get that extra, I think the bonus is doubled if you have the Swift camera in there. It's going to help those trainees with that camera system that they're going to be stuck with for their adult trucking career at Swift. I don't know. I'm trying to put it in a nice way and spin some good on it. We don't have a good solution for you guys that are training right now. It is something we're going to look into in the near future, but we had to make sure that we could get this basic insurance deal sorted out. I was just told, like literally 5 minutes before we started the show, I got a text message saying, "Hey, he said, we have 2 plans ready to bind. Call me." I'm like, "I'm about to start the show. I'll have to call you after." He's like, "Oh, okay, cool." And he's excited about it. So I think I should be excited. I'm actually pretty optimistic. And I think Jeff is as well. I can't speak for him, but yeah, it's pretty awesome. So hopefully tomorrow we can have some information that maybe we put out in the Facebook group. We'll let you guys know what we find out tomorrow. Right now we don't have anything more than that. What else were we going to talk about on that? There's something else
we're gonna talk about the group that we're part of.
Oh, there was some concern by, I heard a couple people mention in different places that, there was a big concern that, oh, well, if you guys get this insurance set up because, for your special group, that, later on, let's say only half those people keep that, or, 10 people get in a wreck out of your 100, then your rates are going to spike and this and that sort of thing, right? Or your rates are going to increase because your group size shrank so much.
Finishes, yeah.
So it turns out that the group that we are being mixed in with is actually a solid group of insured, of more than 3,000 insured contractors, independents, and that sort of thing, people like us. So we are put into a big group, just like we are kind of with the esadvantage fuel card. We are getting buying power from 15,000 independents who are getting fuel as a group, and our group on the insurance is going to work very similar. We are mixed into a group of 3,000. So even if, God help us, a large fraction of our group had a bunch of accidents this year and crazy claims, it actually wouldn't affect the rates overall in a serious manner,
right?
because
Because we're only
we're
a small percentage of the overall group that is being offered the insurance. So
yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
it's just like everything else that we've done with these guys. The insurance is not through quote ES Advantage. It's an independent broker that they happen to use also.
right. We'll know
They
that
hooked us up with.
soon. The name.
Right, and what he's doing is he's grouped a bunch of potential clients together for one big rate. So we're part of that group. It's not just our little, however many people. So that
Right.
concern, we specifically asked about that because it's come up, like Charlie said, um, in some discussions. So there you go.
And just to touch on the trainer and the camera thing, like Rowan was saying here, if you're a trainer and you have the Swift insurance with their camera, it's a $500 bonus on completion. It's 250 if you don't have a camera. So I don't know. I'm trying to find the positives on it right now. And like I said, we're not giving up on getting you guys covered that are trainers. It's just that right now we can't get it squared away in order to meet the deadline and that sort of thing. We had to get this deal made, get it in place, and then we can build on that. So we're not throwing you guys out. We are going to try and see what we can work out down the road. We just can't get it done right away. So I hope you guys understand that, and we're trying to get it done. Mike Anderson, good to see you. Apparently he's checking in from frozen Dallas. Barb's here.
Yeah,
Barb's all up in the house with her Volvo.
I'm actually headed to Dallas. I'll pick up a load tomorrow, going to
Oh.
Dallas for Friday. So hopefully things thaw out between now and Friday.
Oh, let's see. There was something else. I want to save that question. I'm gonna come back to you, Brian. Don't worry. Uh, here's one. Oh, yep. You and I clicked on the same one at the same time. Since I already have a Swift camera, Lawrence McIntyre said, if I already have a Swift camera, if I use your guys' insurance, can I use the Swift camera? You can, if that's what you so chose to do. With the insurance that we're getting set up, a camera is not a requirement. And if you own the camera that you're utilizing through Swift, which I believe is what's going to happen anyhow, you would have total control over that camera and its data and resources. Hope that answers your question.
I'll just put in there too. Why would you want to? I'm just
Right.
going to
I
put that
mean,
out there. You know,
yeah, I would cut their access off to it.
There's reasons why we're working on this deal and why we're trying to not put the cameras in our trucks. There's actually a couple of really good reasons. Number one, if I had to pick a number one, Charlie, it's got to be that separation thing.
Absolutely.
It's separating us from Swift so that if the AB5 laws go national, that we're not going to be forced to reclassify, go get our own authorities and all that stuff. Now, I'm sure everybody's got an opinion on, hey, I've heard guys say, well, put your big boy pants on and go do that anyway, because that's what real owners do, right?
Right.
Whatever, you do you.
Yeah, it's
Um,
cool.
but my point is, I don't want to be forced by a law passed in Congress to do that. If I want to do that by choice, sure. And I'll be 50 this year. Maybe I make that move in the next couple of years. Maybe I don't. But that should be up to me, right, Charlie?
Absolutely. I mean, look, and the other side of that is I simply don't want my customer running my safety stuff. I mean, look, let's be real. We are in deep enough with our customer that there's already kind of some weird steps here and there where, I may or may not be comfortable with some of the things that, we have to abide by. And this is just removing one of those steps that I would rather they not control. I don't want to get coached by someone in that I'm doing business with because I don't believe in a lot of the people doing the coaching.
Well, and let's get it straight too. Like we're always saying, they are our customer, not our employer.
Right.
There's a difference.
So, I'm gonna they're gonna trademark us right there. Good Lord.
Trademark. What?
Yeah, they're gonna get me for the music I was just humming. Looney Tunes, yo. Yep.
Oh man, that's worse than Happy Birthday.
I know, bro. I know. Yeah. So I don't know. Brian had a question I want to talk. Can you guys explain how to use national accounts to have a specific tire ordered and purchased at a Love's or wherever? Yeah. So like, let's use the Love's for instance. What I do when I'm going to go get a new set of Michelins, I simply call around. I find out who's got the tires and the quantity that I need. Sometimes it actually takes me. I had to go to 3 truck stops the last time I replaced all 10 tires on Chewy, and I did that over a period of 3 days, literally. It was on a trip from from Florida to Phoenix. I had 2 stops in Texas and 1 in Florida to get
Charlie,
Alton. Oh, what?
you're lying again. Why you
No,
gotta do that? You don't
what I
have
do?
10 tires on
You're
Chewy.
right. I have 6 tires on Chewy.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha.
You were right. I was thinking, because I'm on, and I was just going to correct myself right before we did that. And then you're like, wait, but you're right. All 6 tires. I had to get 2 singles at a Petro in Texas, and then 2 more singles, like 200 miles down the road. And I got my steers in Florida at the Loves here. Anyhow, but what I do is I call ahead and make sure they have the tires that I want. When we get to the Loves, I call on road. I say, hey, I'm going to this truck stop, and they have the tires I want, and I want you to set me up with the national tire count. And the billing is handled through Swift. And yes, you have to pay that percentage. I know that, but this is one of those times where the percentage doesn't upset me.
Right.
And then it's handled through the
because you still save money.
right. And then it's handled through the Swift national tire account through Michelin or Bridgestone or whichever national tire account you were dealing with. I hope that answers your question.
So,
Jason Paps.
Jason, if the insurance is required in the camera and drivers pay for the required camera and subscription, why does Swift even need to have access to it? Because the insurance demands it.
Right.
The insurance company told Swift, you will monitor these cameras.
It's still an insurance requirement that it be monitored by the insurance company and or their designee, Swift being their designee. It's lame. We agree with you. We could yell and kick and scream all day long. We'd
Ken
rather
McBee
just go
agrees
get our own
with you.
Yeah. Brett was not thrilled about having to do this. So, they argued. They're like, no, we don't want to do it. And the insurance like, oh, yeah. So that's how it went down. I know it sucks. Look, if you're gonna do it, I would. I don't know why you wouldn't. I mean, at the first opportunity when I need tires, that's exactly where I go. Is Michelin's. I have the Bridgestones on now, which aren't terrible. But I will go to Michelin's when I need to replace my tires. Have been doing that the entire time, almost the entire time. I had one set of Continentals back when I first leased my first truck. Simply because I couldn't get a hold of Bridgestones or Michelin's at the time. And actually, the Continentals honestly didn't do too bad. Their rolling resistance wasn't too terrible at the time. They were a little higher than the Michelin, comparable to the Bridgestone at the time. And they didn't wear horrible. I couldn't speak to anything now. I mean, we're talking 13 years ago, something like that. I've had to put a set of Bridgestone on one of my lease trucks back, I think it was my 660 that I had to put some on because we couldn't find Michelin's. But typically, if I have the option, I will put on the lowest rolling resistance Michelin tire I can find every single time.
Yep.
So, So life on 18 wheels. Look, I have no problem diving into this because you know what? Jeff and I actually got into this conversation and we kind of fell into a trap when we got into this argument, right? So here's the deal. There is so many fingers in this that I have no problem talking about this, and whether people like it or not, here's the real deal. We go through a broker called Transtar, who then goes through a company called Chubb Ace, which is one of the oldest, apparently, insurance brokerage house things, whatever that's called in the insurance world, in the U.S. Yeah.
In the world.
Yeah. And then here's what we were unaware of is that it is still ultimately underwritten by Mojave, which ultimately means they're still self-insured. So I don't understand all of it. Yeah, I know it sucks. It's weird. There's a weird argument to it. They are managed as separate entities. The companies do what they do. Look, man,
well,
I'm not going to try and argue.
Mojave doesn't just insure Swift, though. Mojave is an insurance company. Just because their board of they share members of their board with Swift Knight, that's something to be discussed by CNBC.
Right? It's too deep for me, man. look, life on 18 wheels. That's a lot of hands in the cookie jar. Look,
Mm-hmm.
look, I agree 10,000%. It's too many things for us to sort out. Because Jeff and I were like dead set. We came
We
like we
tracked it
actually
down.
came out and we were like tracking down through the steps, and we got stuck at Chubb Ace because that's who was now on all of our insurance papers, right? I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
had one around here. Damn, I wish I still had it here, but I have it here, and everything on my insurance paperwork ended at Chubb Ace. And then I found out, no, it's still underwritten ultimately by Mojave, and that just pissed me off and blew my mind. And I'm just whatever, man. I would much rather go get this other insurance, even if it cost me more money. Even if it cost me more money to go outside, I'm going to go outside. That is, I can tell you, that's where I'm standing right now. And I'm okay with that because of the trip leasing and the other options that we have available to us these days, and which we've always had available. We just more of a focus on it these days. I just I want to create the separation, and Jeff and I are kind of in agreement on this. We want to create more of that separation between my business and their business, so that the relationship is more my business doing business with their business. They are my customer. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I got to get it squared away in my mind. They make their decisions. They do what they do. I need to figure out how to make my business work within theirs, and that's what we're trying to do, to best work within the system that we're working in. And I mean, I'm not expecting them to conform to me. I'm trying to figure out how to best work within the system that we have and the contract that I agreed to. So I don't know if that makes sense to you or not. You know, hope that does. Uh,
Got some googly eyes there.
yeah, there's other stuff. Welcome, welcome, other people, other folks. I see you, Narc. I appreciate
Oh,
you.
hey, Narc.
I'm just, hey, Narc. Look, you know me. I can't go deep. Yeah. Uh, Bull of the Woods. I just like the eyeballs. I don't even know why. It's just like, hey,
That googly eyes, man.
I like it.
It's nice.
So Blackbeard said, won't it affect AB5 with the insurance going directly to Swift and not the policyholder? I'm not sure because I'm not an insurance guy. And I don't know that that's exactly a true statement that you're making there, because I have policies that have my name as Swift as part of the, or AL rather, as part of the, I can't think of the terminology here, but they are
Beneficiary.
something like that. Yeah. I just don't think that's the right word in our case here, but yeah, something along those lines. Um, so yeah, it's there could be a weird thing down the road, Blackbeard. That is absolutely a possibility. Um, but for us going to this outside insurance deal, that's going to remove that whole step, because IEL is still the physical owner of the truck. We are simply the lessee. They are the lessor. They own the truck until we pay it off. Correct. Let's just so that we understand what we're talking about. If something happens to the truck, they get their money first. They have to be paid first for that equipment. So they will always be listed on the insurance policy. IEL will be. So yeah. And I know that Mojave is owned by the Knight umbrella, right? IEL is owned by one of the umbrellas. I don't know what the exact corporate structure is. We know that these companies are all tied together, and I'm not trying to pretend like they're not, but they do also operate with as individual companies. They do. They run their own lines of business, their own ledgers, they have to, in order to stay compliant with laws and regulations and all that kind of stuff. So they have to maintain separation. Of course, there's going to be some crossover and some weirdness that I just don't even want to dip into. It's just way above my head, and it's gonna make my head hurt. So I'm just trying. What we are trying to do is get our own deal. We seem to have reached that deal. Hopefully tonight, tomorrow, we will have numbers, and we're hoping that those numbers come in favorable. Still don't know what the numbers are. That's what we're hoping to find out tonight and tomorrow. So hopefully this week we'll be able to square you away.
Yeah, and if we sound like we're a little scatterbrained on this, we are.
Yeah, it's
Just
confusing.
everybody. I mean, the people that we've talked to so far, and even not even just Tony, just everybody. We are not in the insurance business, and so trying to figure out what they're talking about sometimes is like, well, let back up, help me understand. Insurance is a freaking whole world in and of itself.
They asked us if we wanted this name Contractors Corner Insurance, blah, 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 and wanted to be kind of part of the brokerage on it and make a buck here or there. And
Mm,
we're like, oh, hell no. We don't want to be in the insurance business. I don't want anything to do with it. I just like to get our people a deal that we can work with that will be, competitive with what we got going on now. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Excuse me. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're at on the insurance thing. I hope that covers it for now. Like I said, hopefully tonight, Jeff and I have a call right after the show tonight that we're going to have to make, and hopefully we get some more information. And actually, it sounds like uh, we may actually have some additional stuff, Jeff, that I didn't actually tell you about right before. He said that he was excited because he's got some other options available to us, including occupational, the OC that we all pay,
hmm
as well as the physical damage and something else, NTRL. I don't know what that is, or if that was I don't know what that's supposed to be. So yeah, we'll have to wait and find out. So yeah, he's trying to work out a whole lot of other things that will wrap us up into some other options should we want those options. Hope that covers it for y'all.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah, our whole
Uh,
thrust was just getting that uh, collision insurance done,
yeah,
so we
the
don't
physical
have to.
damage.
The physical damage is what we're after, and then he was talking about all this other stuff. We're like, well, let's do this first, and then because we have a deadline on that. That deadline is coming up a little faster than I'd like, right, Charlie?
You're right.
Because if you keep the Swift insurance and you don't currently have a camera at all, from what we've been told, you need to have that thing ordered pretty much next week.
Blackbeard, you answered my question. I could not figure out the
NTO, okay.
NTRL, non-triggering liability, which is the bobtail. Yes, sir. You're awesome.
And that's what we
And
love about this group.
yeah, and I actually, so Reese called me earlier, like about an hour before the show. He's like, yeah, so Tony wanted to wrap in the non-trucking liability stuff. And I'm like, dude, does that mean bobtail? And he's like, I don't know. I'm like, yeah, I don't know either, but I think it's the bobtail insurance. He's like, I'll ask Tony. But I'm gonna, you know what? I thought that's what it meant. I'm gonna go with you. We'll have to verify that for sure, but I'm pretty sure you're right as well because that's also what I was thinking. But again, we'll get it worked out. Gabe, look, would be nice if we had towing and roadside assistance could possible affordable rate. Look, so all of these things that we're talking about right now, once we get the physical damage stuff, that look, our main focus was getting that physical damage thing. Did you know that the knife hand has been deemed not
Hate
usable
speech.
anymore? Yeah, isn't that crazy? Sorry, squirrel. Any of you guys in the military, you know the knife hand was an absolute tool.
Oh
And
yeah.
you know about that knife hand. Apparently you can't do that anymore. Just saying. So I'm gonna have to break that somehow or something because the trophy winners are upset again. I'm sorry. So we had to get the physical damage stuff squared away first, and then we are working on the other options. And apparently Tony's already working on some of those, like the OCAC and the bobtail. So we want to wrap some other things. I even discussed briefly, and I didn't even tell Jeff about this because I forgot uh, about the legal services stuff like Swift offers. They have another offering that is apparently a direct competitor of the one Swift offers. but
Capitalism, man.
But look, they're trying to say, hey, maybe we can make a deal with you guys and see what we can work out, So yeah, we are trying to work some other deals. And again, just to throw it out there before the world goes batshit on us, these aren't things Jeff and I are making money on. They're just
Nope.
not. Just leave it there. I'm gonna end there before I start World War IX. After getting this insurance, Roland says, after getting this insurance, how hard are you guys going to try and trip lease? Look, again,
for me, it depends on what the spot market rates end up doing. If I could make more money doing that, I'll look more into it. Right now, as you guys know, I'm deep into testing the load board, and
right.
I'm really not hurting for miles. And the spot market right now, unless there was a guy in the group, do you remember who that was, that had a pretty good deal for guys that want to run reefer?
Yeah, JB and Bryant. I actually
Yeah,
talked to him today. That's
yeah,
funny that we were talking about trip leasing.
he's got a guy that he's hooked up with that's got a pretty good deal. I mean,
Like a really
you
good deal. If
guys,
you're looking to make some money, reach out to
yeah,
Javen right now because he's only got 3 slots left.
and he did post in our private group. So if you guys that are in the private group, look for that if you're interested, and give him a call.
He's got it all worked out, the insurance, the whole 9 yards.
he will walk you step by step. This is what you do. These are the papers that you fill out, and then come to work for this guy. And who there you
One
go.
of the guys on the phone, I was actually in a group call with them because I was asking about trip leasing. I wasn't looking to get on with their deal right now because I've got other stuff going on, but I just want to know about the trip leasing process, right? And one of the guys like, yeah, dude, it's like 5 minutes worth of paperwork. That's it. That's all it took me to fill out. But he was breaking it down to me, the ELD stuff. I mean, the whole 9 yards. He's like, yeah, it's like, the company that I'm trip leasing to provides me with an ELD service. When I go do their stuff, I log out of the Zonar. I log into this new ELD stuff. It logs all my stuff. When I come back to pull Swift rate, I log back into Zonar. I said, okay, but that's where the problem pops in, right? So now you have this stuff that's tied to your ECM, and it says, hey, you've got 6 weeks of unidentified logs.
driving.
Yeah. So you simply you deny it. Here's where I said would be a bit of a problem for some people. Remember, your OOC and safety have to accept you denying those things. So they need to be aware that, hey, I'm out trip leasing during this period. When I deny this, you need to accept my denial. Accept my denial. That's funny. So that there's not that weird mix up. Okay. But it's those little things that we need to understand. And that's what I'm trying to learn today. And I actually learned quite a bit of it today. So I'm actually happy about that. Becky's going to be giving me a call here, hopefully in the very near future. I want to talk to her more about that from their end, what we need to do. And because, I really wish I had a deal that I could go work right now, because right now Miami's about to explode. I don't know if you guys know this, but if you ever run reefer doing the produce thing, Miami right now is about to explode because of Valentine's Day.
Yep.
And we've got a ridiculous amount of roses and carnations coming in from, I think it's Bolivia, and I'm in a perfect situation. I'm in team truck, ready to go in Florida to anywhere in the country if need be. I mean, I will go for the right rates. And these rates that they are about to pay coming out of Miami on roses and carnations are going to be stupid. Just saying. But it's going to require teams for a good deal of those things. So I'm like, man, I really wish I had this set up already, ready to go. So, hey, if any of you are into the trip leasing things and you know anybody with refrigerated equipment, you might want to look at Florida, the bottom of Florida real quick, because that is about to explode. They've got massive jets flying into Miami all day long right now, from every day, like every hour, until right before not Thanksgiving, Valentine's Day. Thanksgiving, that's like the same thing.
Now, I just want to say, so Charley didn't just come up with this out of his butt.
No.
So for those of you guys that haven't heard us talk about it before, when we're talking about this stuff, we get it from DAT.
Absolutely.
The DAT IQ weekly live is on Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern time, right? To 10 a.m.
10 or 10:30, I can't remember. But yeah.
7 a.m. Yeah, 7 a.m. Western.
Okay, so
10 a.m. Eastern, you go on the YouTubes and you just type in DAT space IQ live, and dude, they go over stuff that'll just blow your mind.
It's great.
Their analysts are great, and it's like a lot of stuff. It's the tip of the iceberg of a service they sell, but that tip of the iceberg is gold to people like us. You know, if I was gonna go out and get my own authority and start running the DAT load board, I would pay for the premium service to get their full analytics. Um, they've been around a long time, 1978. They're not a new kid on the block, and they have this live YouTube thing every week where they go over the spot market rates and lanes. Today they were talking about, hey, you want to stay out of Southern California if you're a van driver because they're way over capacity right now. But hey, if you're a flatbed guy and you don't mind running Oregon, guess what? They got more freight than they know what to do with up in Medford,
Right.
Oregon, and they're paying like $3.20 a mile to go down to Central California with
But
lumber.
that's the YouTubes
So
right there that I look at, and I watch this every Tuesday. I love the report. It's only like half hour, 40 minutes long every Tuesday morning, and
mhm.
it's a good way to sit back, smoke a cigar, and drink a cup of coffee, and see what's going on in our industry.
and actually this week's is a good place to start if you've never watched it before,
Yeah,
because they had the lady that is the analyst that comes up with their charts that they use, and she explains how to read the charts in this week's thing. Oh, you
yeah, that
couldn't go
lady
away.
right there, she's awesome. She was totally awesome today because she explained this map. These maps right here have had me baffled for a while. I did not understand the color coding on these maps. And I was actually going to send them a message this week to get me a better understanding of what these colors meant. And I finally learned this week because she was on. She's one of the people that actually builds this map with the coloring and all that. So it was cool. I was very appreciative of this week's show. I was, yeah, I totally dug learning something. And it was totally something I was going to send them a question about. And it was cool. Yeah, and like Jason Cap said, he's pulled flower loads. They paid amazing, $3 a mile plus, So, and this week is going to be exceptional coming out of Miami with the roses and carnations because it's
Yep.
so expedited. It's such expedited stuff. And Ken Kelly, he's with us, man. No knife hand. What do we go back to? Index finger to chest. I agree, sir.
I'm willing to bet, and this is probably wrong of me to say, and I'll probably get canceled or something, but
Uh-oh.
anybody that went to basic training after about probably the mid 2000s doesn't even know what that reference is.
Right.
They probably know what a stress card is though. I'm
Back
just
in the
saying.
day when they would peck you.
Oh yeah, the brown round that was
Listen
baked in
here,
the oven.
private. Oh man. So I got in just when they were like stopping doing that. So I never got I had one drill sergeant peck me once, and he was a little tiny dude. And I gave him the eyeballs, man. I mean, I wasn't but 155 pounds, but I was pretty sure I could take that little fire hydrant. He pecked me once, and I'm like, yo, bro. Just saying. I mean, I'll take an ass beating. But I ain't taking you pecking me with that damn hat. That thing ain't no joke. Luckily, he wasn't allowed to do
and
it, so he stopped that
and
crap quick.
I don't know about yours, but we had one drill sergeant that had a talent of getting it right under your cover,
Right?
like right under the bill of your cover. He could hit that spot every
Oh,
time.
this guy was lucky. I mean, he had to kind of come up at me to get me right here. So I'm just saying, he was a little bitty dude. I'm just saying, but and he had that little man complex. I mean, he was kind of a jerk face. Look, he was the biggest prick on the place, and not even like he tried to be that guy. He just was that guy. You could tell he was that guy in real life. So
Hmm.
whatever, Napoleon. And anyhow, so yeah, can't help those people. Hope y'all are doing good. Oh my God, we keep taking these weird turns.
Squirrels.
I apologize. Squirrels, they're everywhere. Oh
Hey, at
man.
least hey, at least we haven't talked about OnlyFans this week.
Oh my God. Then you did it. You actually said the words. Sweet.
I had to, man.
Oh man. But yeah, the data analytics stuff, man. I like that show. It teaches me a lot of cool things, and that's actually where I get information like I'm about to start spitting right now. For instance, spot rates are down 14% year to date. The typical drop, if you look at the last 6 years, the typical drop for this time of year is only 9%. The rates are down 14% so far. Load posts are within 5% of the posts before the Rona stuff hit, right? But here's the problem. Equipment posts are 26% higher. So we've got so many damn trucks out there with about the same
Right.
amount of loads we had before.
And here's the crazy part is that according to DAT, since October of last year, we've been losing 2,000 carriers a month.
Right.
And we're still at that level of equipment.
It's insanity.
So what
You know how many
Charlie and I
people bought
figure
stuff?
is right in the middle of the Rona, right? When those rates, just people were getting those 350 a mile rates all day long for nothing, just to show up. And so a bunch of people went and got their authority and bought equipment and stuff. And now things are settling down to a normal rate again. And they're out.
Right.
They're out. They're done.
So
But it's
the
still so many people did that we still have that much equipment on the road.
right. Michael Ford, that's funny. Still looking for that senior drill sergeant to repay that ass whooping in 75. Looking for him on the Facebooks, man. You'd be amazed how many you can find on there. I'm just saying. So van spot rates are down 16% since the start of the year. The typical drop is about 11%. I know we don't particularly focus on the spot rates, being that we're contracted to Swift, but it does affect the overall market. And eventually what it does, it starts trickling into the contract rates, because when the spot rates start dropping off, the contract people start going, hey, I'm going to start dumping stuff in the spot market and reduce my contract rate because that market is doing well, which then leads to contract rates coming in, getting renegotiated, which we know are getting renegotiated lower this year than last year because of the rates dropping the way that they are. Reefer rates are down 9%, or the typical drop is down 9%. The reefer drop this year so far is 18%. It's been a kind of a wacky year for produce and stuff like that. So that's a thing. And the forecast is still looking like mid-February for us to hit bottom on the rates. When the rates start to turn, that means freight will actually start to turn as well. Typically speaking, that means that when the rates start turning up, that means that there's less capacity to the loads. And so, yeah, that's where we're at right now.
One thing about that, so Ken Kelly, I know you're a lot like me. You dabble in the financial markets. Their charts are very telling. They've got some pretty amazing charts that they show on their weekly live.
Yeah.
And if you're a technical analyst, you'll understand them, and it's really interesting. Their forecast is for the market to hit bottom right around February 11th is what they're calling for. And
Let me put that back up and I'll share that.
when you're looking at the chart, see there to the right where you got all the colored lines, you start to see some patterns that we're used to seeing when we're looking at financial markets as well. So I just found that really fascinating, that statistics are statistics no matter what market you're looking at.
And I will put a link to the DAT Freight and Analytics DAT IQ Live YouTube channel there, because these guys they provide amazing information for us. And I don't know if I'm supposed to be doing what I'm doing right now, but I'm doing it. I'm not streaming their video, but I think it's some great information. I really think guys should start paying attention to what they say, because it's a good way for us to plan on some stuff, as well as looking at markets and forecasting and things like that.
The other part of their show is lanes.
Right.
So if you're paying attention to that report, they literally told guys today, stay out of Southern California because this is,
and that's the reefer forecast right there.
Right. They're telling people this place is good, that place is good. They went not state by state, but they did mention the best and worst states to be doing business in this week. So if you watch that report and you're headed to one of those bad places that they say is bad, again, this is not contract freight, but still it affects us.
Right.
Hey, I was watching that DAT thing this weekend. I guess I'll take my reset there and not be too upset about it because I knew that.
Oh, and we had a bunch of people get relocated on repo moves from Florida up into the South Carolina area. We were seeing them in the groups and things like that, talking about it. Some of them didn't understand what was going on or why they were sent there. They just took the move and went, and that's fine, whatever. What they were doing was repositioning you guys up into the was it Ridgefield area of South Carolina? Excuse me. for the import stuff that was coming in that they're expecting to come in. And they're like, hey, stand by, we've got all this import stuff that we're waiting to book because they're anticipating, a certain amount of freight coming in off the boats, but then they got to wait for it to process from the boats and they're not exactly sure when it's going to go. One of the things I actually reached out to Sue about this and she said, yeah, that's what it was. It's that import stuff that they're expecting to come through. Excuse me. One of the things that she did mention is they're seeing a lot of people that say, let's say you deliver tonight at 8 p.m. and you've got your set delivery, even though you've driven, by then you will have driven your 10 hours or what have you. And maybe you're up against your 14-hour clock even. Set your PTA for that time that you're empty.
Mm-hmm.
Don't set it for tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. when you're actually ready to go. Set it for when you're empty. And I said, well, in the past, that's bitten me in the backside because the planner would be like, oh, we'll go get this load 100 miles away. I'm like, well, I'm not actually ready till 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. And then their planner gets pissed off and they're like, well, you set your PTA for now. And she said, yeah, well, unfortunately, what's going on right now is we're pretty much planning by PTA, right? So if you set your PTA for the morning, you're now 11 hours or 10 hours behind the PTA planning curve, which is just going to put you that many loads out. So set your PTA, and most of the loads that they're planning right now aren't picking up 10 minutes from now anyhow. They're picking up tomorrow. So you should be good.
The next day sometimes.
Right.
I mean, I did, while Charlie and I were doing show prep, because of that thing in South Carolina, I actually looked it up on the board, and there's nothing on the board leaving out of there until Thursday. So if they were staging guys for this import stuff, hopefully that stuff gets processed and you'll be out of here sooner than that.
Appreciate you, John. Thank you for reminding me, man. I always forget about that stuff. I can't help it. I'm a simple dude. I don't know. If you guys have any questions, by all means, please throw them up and we will get to them quick as we can, as best we can. I know there is some other shows out there that are happening right now and whatever. That's cool. Whatever. We're glad that you guys are here and you're here every week and we dig it and we completely are happy that you're here. We do appreciate you taking your time out of your week to spend it with us and listen to us ramble sometimes about weird things like OnlyFans, because that's not strange at all, Jeff.
Huh?
What? So, but yeah, get your PTA set for when you're making that delivery, guys. Seriously, it's going to get you in that planning clock a little bit sooner. And you know what? Look, and if that one planner pops up and says, hey, go get that load 10 miles or 100 miles down the road and you can't do it, then try to counter it. I don't know what to say. All right. I see this.
Here we go.
Brian Guest. Without getting into actual tax advice, can you explain the advantages of S Corp or LLC, etc.? My accountant is advising it. First-hand knowledge from y'all would be helpful. First of all, I'm going to ask, who's your accountant?
Right.
So
and you need to ask your accountant for detail on why he thinks it's a good idea. Because I can tell you that the advantages are not what most people think they are. Pretty much the big advantage is tax-wise, and so this is where I point out that we are not tax professionals. You should seek the advice of a tax professional, all that legal stuff.
I see you, Jason.
Basically, the main advantage is that, so as an S Corp, I pay myself on a W-2. Okay, that's the first thing. So it costs more money because you have to have a payroll service to do that for you, unless you're a whole lot smarter than anybody I know.
Right.
So I pay myself on a W-2, and the number I came up with, and I'm just going to give an example, and hopefully you'll learn something from it. I pay myself 68 cents a mile. Now, the truck actually has a gross profit, and yes, it is a gross profit because this is before payroll, of about $1 a mile. That's my profits on any given week. So the spread I keep in the business. Okay. Now,
just to clarify, when he says gross profit, he means after all other truck expenses, not counting payroll and taxes. I just want to be clear there.
right? So 68 cents goes to the house on a W-2. I also have to pay payroll tax on that, so that's a whole other thing. So I'm left with, say, if I made a profit of $2,000, just to make it easy, my payroll expense is going to be about $1,600. So let's just say it's 16 to make the math easy. That's $400 left in the business. Now I could do a couple of things with that. I can leave it in the business, which is probably smarter than what most of us do, or I can take it out of the business in the form of a profit disbursement or a draw. And here's the thing: I don't pay payroll tax on that. I don't pay Social Security. I don't pay Medicaid. None of that. That 15% that we're all liable for every year, no ifs, ands, or buts, no deductions. That part of my income is not subject to that. So I save 15% of tax on whatever that leftover is. So the numbers that Charley and I have always used haven't helped me. The numbers that ATBS uses, we're having some dispute with them right now. So I apologize for those of you that don't know about that. But $75,000 a year in profit for the business, at that point, it's worth it to set yourself up as an S corp, because you're going to save more in the tax side than you are in all of the extra accounting fees and all that to service the S corp.
The break even for some seems to be somewhere between 65 and 73,000 ish, depending on how you look at it and what you're paying for all these other services that you have to pay for, the prep, the corporation, the filing fees, the bookkeeping, the record keeping, all that other stuff. And so 75 seems to be a pretty good number to where it's actually advantageous and profitable to do that S corp.
Right.
And that's profit.
So this is what people call a tax loophole, which I will die on this hill, Charley. There's no such thing as a tax loophole.
I'm with you.
There is a tax law, which we can take advantage of since we own a business. And so I'm saying that I don't want to pay FICA on a certain portion of my income. Man,
Right.
So this year is an example. Not a stellar year for me, Charley. You know that. I had a lot of issues. So my W-2 says that I had 51,000 some odd dollars in taxable wages. My business paid me another $25,000 in draws and profit sharing. So on that $25,000, I did not pay FICA.
Right.
I'm still liable for the income
benefit
tax.
Comes in.
Still liable for the income tax. Don't get me
Right.
wrong. You don't get out of income tax. But that's where the savings comes in, and hopefully your accountant can explain that better than I did as a layman. But that's the bottom line. The other part of your question, though, S corp or LLC, you have to be an LLC to be an S corp. The LLC is a limited liability company, which doesn't mean what you think it does, by the way. In our business, you are completely liable if you get sued. They're gonna try and take your house. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. Your only fallback is the same as it is for any average Joe claim bankruptcy.
Right.
S corp, that is how you are choosing to be taxed.
Right. That is your tax designation.
Right. You can choose to be taxed as a sole proprietor within an LLC. You can choose to be taxed as an S corp, a C corp, and several different types of partnerships. So an S corp is what's called pass-through taxation designation. Did I say that right? I don't know.
Something like that, yeah.
Not a professional.
Right.
But what that means is you're personally liable for any of the corporate income taxes that your company owes.
Right.
So let's go back to my example. Let's say I took that $25,000 and I just put it into a savings account because I know that within the next 2 or 3 years, I'm going to have to spend money on an M-frame. Well, now that becomes corporate profit, which is subject to corporate income tax. I'm personally responsible for that. So if I do something really dumb like go to Vegas or something and blow that $25,000, I still owe the tax on that money,
Right.
and I'm going to have to cough it up, and that's where people get in trouble. They don't they don't figure the taxes into that. People think that because they're running payroll, right, and you're on a W-2, so your payroll company is going to take the deductions out for all your taxes, right, and submit it to the state and the feds, that you're covered. Well, what about what's left over in your business at the end of the year? You have to pay taxes on that.
Right.
And whenever you do profit sharing withdrawal or or whatever, you owe income tax on that. So you got to figure out. Don't spend all your money, man. you
And
know
as
it,
far as getting just an LLC, just to get an LLC, explain to me
I
why you think you need one.
yeah, I've just never seen the point in that.
And I'll argue right now that people tell you, oh, well, it protects you so that you're not going to lose your house. Here's the problem with a single member LLC, which is what most of these are, or they'll create an LLC with their wife, and so it's a two-member LLC or family members, kids, things like that, right? So that's all the same household, right? And if you are in some sort of situation which leads to litigation and someone is suing your company, they're going to sue your company and they're going to go, but the company's got no assets left over. So let me look at the driver. Who's the driver? You. I'm going to go after the driver's assets as well. What do you own? Oh, you own a house. I'm going to go after your house. And you're like, but I'm in an LLC, but you're two separate entities. You're the LLC and you're an individual. So you've really got to be careful about using the LLC just thinking that it's going to cover you or protect you somehow, because it doesn't work in a sole prop or a very limited partnership LLC. Look, I would suggest you talk to a business lawyer specifically about that. I've heard some of them say, "Oh, it'll protect you." Absolutely. And I run from those guys because when you
Yeah,
actually read the law, it doesn't.
But Charlie, the ones that tell you that are the ones that want to charge you $500 to set it up.
Right. And there are costs to just setting up an LLC.
Hmm.
Um, and in that LLC, there are fees. Florida, for instance, like every year I have to file a form with them every year to let them know, yes, I'm still in business. And it doesn't matter whether I'm an S corp
What
or a
it,
C corp or anything else.
what is it in Florida?
I believe it's. I haven't done it. I was actually going to do it today, and I forgot to do it. I believe it's
Really?
right around $120 a year.
You
I know. What's
know
yours,
what
like
it is in
30?
Utah? 18.
Yeah, there you go. But every state's got a different fee, right? And that, so I mean, that's a thing. That's something you need to calculate into your entire calculus here. What is the benefit to it? And with my LLC, I have a DBA because my company name is Dirt Dart Express Transportation LLC, right? It's not Charlie Mahon Trucking. You know,
Mhm.
um, anything other than your actual name is going to require a DBA. Doing business as. Yeah, Jason said in New Hampshire it's 153. Blackbeard said Georgia's $50. So every state has their own little fees for this thing. You know what I mean? So calculate that in, and is it worth that 153? Do you need it?
Also, is it worth the extra accounting fees if you're with ATBS?
Yeah,
um,
right.
so if you're just a regular sole prop right now, you're paying $20 a week. I'm paying 40 just because I have an LLC. Um,
Right.
the reason why you guys have heard me talk about other alternatives to them is, so I've been with them the whole time I've been an owner operator, and until I changed restructured into an LLC, I was fairly happy with them, but their services just are not giving me $40 a week worth of value, in my opinion.
Right.
So I'm looking at other bookkeeping options.
And the service
Um,
level is just customer service
well, we
level is just
well we
lacking.
had another person in the group this week say that they were trying to change from sole prop to S corp and couldn't get a hold of their business person at
Right.
ATBS. So they won't even do stuff that they charge you money for,
Right.
apparently. But anyway, enough of my disgruntled rant there.
Right.
Um, so you got also, if you're going to run payroll, my payroll service costs me $39 a month. It's a discount service. It's a lot. It's about half what QuickBooks is um, for their payroll service. But I get what I pay for on that. I kind of get off on financial stuff a little bit, so it's not that big of a hassle for me.
Creeper.
If you need more full service stuff, then there's other options that are more full service. I've been happy with them. But yeah, so that's that extra expense. I was talking to, I think I was talking to David about it, David Jones, when we were talking about going S corp and things. And I was listing all the expenses that I had that I didn't have as a sole proprietor. Unemployment insurance, unless you're in a state like Texas where it's optional.
Right.
I didn't have to pay that as a sole prop. I do now. And that's like 1% of payroll up to $40,000 worth of payroll in the state of Utah.
In Florida, I pay. I want to.
I mean, it's not much. It's not that much, but it eats into your profits, man. So you got to make sure
pay
that
in
it
the
pencils
first quarter,
out.
and I don't pay the rest of the year.
Yeah. So it's just you got to do the math. We're going to say that again, Charlie. Do the math.
Right.
Work with your CPA. It sounds like you got a good one, Brian. If what we just said is exactly how she explained it, that makes me feel good. Because sometimes you don't know, right, Charlie?
No
we know
doubt.
things in our head that sometimes it's kind of hard to explain in the wild. That's why we always say, we had some questions on taxes in the group this week, and I'll always fall back on to talk to a CPA. And it's not that we don't know the answer to some of this stuff. It's that we could get, you guys have to understand, a person could get themselves in trouble legally
a whole lot easier
by answering some of these questions without a license. This is something that licensed people are supposed to be doing for you. And
we've had a couple people in the groups recently be like, "Oh, great advice! Number one advice: don't ask for advice here." Listen, you guys, cut us some slack. We are not professionals in the tax business. We are not professionals in the insurance business. Jeff and I are absolutely professionals in our industry.
Yep.
I have absolutely no problem stating that fact. I am not a tax professional. I can tell you what my experience has been in certain things, but that's about it. That's what we're willing to do. So don't get pissed off because we say, "Hey, you should talk to a tax professional." That's crazy. That's probably the best advice you'll get from anybody. Talk to somebody who knows those laws.
Yeah. So, Brian, if your question is what my experience was, doing it through ATBS, not positive. I got to tell you, I should have just gone to LegalZoom. It would have cost me less, and their lawyers would have walked me through it better.
Yeah.
I
actually toyed with removing my S corp designation this year because of the fact that the financials for me have flipped upside down. I have a truck payment, my expenses are higher, the profit is down. Not a stellar year this past year. I mean, Rosie and I's W-2 income was way down from where in fact half of what it normally is, honest to God. Because of all the time that we took off for my medical
problems,
and so the business profit is down the whole 9 yards. I mean, so it's legit. You got to look at the numbers.
The best thing I can tell you going through the process, ask a lot of questions of your professionals, read everything.
Absolutely. Holy hell.
There was a specific problem that I had with the ATBS did not tell me about, and that had to do with my state taxes and unemployment. It got to the point to where my payroll company was sending me emails, "Hey man, you're going to jail if you don't get this squared away in the next 90 days. And I was like, "What?"
Yeah, right.
You're
like, the hell you say?
So
what am I paying you for?
Go step by step through the process, read everything, go to your state's there should be some sort of state website on the different taxes for self-employed people. That's where I got most of my information from, not from anybody else. Just went through what they said I needed, and then I got that information to my payroll company and got things squared away.
Right.
But it took me probably an extra 3 weeks beyond what I thought it should take, just because I was scrambling. right?
Right.
So
It's
having
those things you
someone,
don't know.
right, having someone guide you through it, that would have made things a whole lot better. Since it's all done, though, it is one of those things where once it's done, it's done.
Right.
I had one hiccup with the unemployment thing where where the state didn't think I was paying enough in unemployment. What it boiled down to was it was my first year in operation, and the state of Utah has a digressing um, unemployment insurance thing
The tax
where
schedule.
you pay more the first year, you pay a little less the second year until you're down to the bottom, which is like a 0.5% of payroll.
Right.
But I didn't know that, and of course, a payroll company just does what you tell them to do, right?
Right.
So I put in what I thought was right. I was wrong.
Intuit was good about that, by the way, for me. Like they started me at the highest rate possible and then said, hey, if you get something different from your state, by all means come in and adjust it. But we're going
Mm-hmm.
to start you at what we see most people start at, which was the highest rate.
What was that, like the 3.5% or something?
Yeah, I don't remember what the hell it was when I first started, but yeah, it was gnarly. And back then I was still in Oregon, so it was, I mean, I had all kinds of crazy numbers popping at me then. So
Yeah. And that's some great advice for Sue too. If you already have a relationship with someone, relationships are king.
oh, what Brian said
There's
was that's why I spoke to my tax person prior to starting. Sue recommended do it that way if I already had a relationship with one. Sorry.
yeah. So yeah, uh, especially if you have someone you trust, just go in the order that they tell you to go in and go slow and make sure you understand anything. If there's something you don't understand, ask the question.
I mean, hell, that's why you're
Right about
paying them.
this, right? Theoretically, anyway.
Right,
There
right.
I go again.
I know. I'm with you, man. Look, we're trying to look. We are open. We are trying to find alternatives to our tax preparers. So, yeah.
Hey, I'll just put it out there. Something that Charlie and I were discussing earlier. If you guys have a good tax person, like you're like, hey, yeah, they're totally worth the money.
Don't tell me
Find
about your sister who does your taxes and you think that it's okay. I want a
right.
professional tax preparer.
I want
I
a
want a CPA.
I want a brick and mortar guy. So, but what we're wondering is, so some of these guys they'll do taxes in other states, and that's cool. If you guys have a good one, ask them, hey, are you willing to do like Zoom calls with guys when they have tax questions for people that are your clients? Because if we could find someone that's a good tax accountant and is willing to at least do Zoom calls, because most of us aren't going to be able to go knock on their door, right? We're truck drivers. I think that would be gold for all of us.
Ken said he speaks from experience. When you go through an IRS colonoscopy audit, you'll realize when it comes to taxes, you don't know jack. Amen. I went
Didn't you
through
go
an
through one?
audit in year 2 or year 1. I can't remember what it was. For me, honestly, it was truly painless. I mean, I was freaking the hell out, but mine actually went like that. It was flawless. The records were straight. Everything they asked me for, I had, and had better records than they anticipated or even asked for. And it was like over in 15 minutes, maybe half hour. It was the craziest thing because I went in there like just all tensed up and freaking out. And man, I was like, wait, that was it? He's like, all right, have a great day. I'm like, whoo! I felt blessed at that moment. I feel like if it ever happens again, I'm going to be screwed.
Speak into the lapel, Charlie.
Right. But yeah, so you guys, don't get upset when we say talk to a professional in that field. Like we could talk trucking all day long. We're here for that. I'm not prepared to talk taxes. I mean, I can tell you what my experience has been, but that doesn't mean your experience is going to be the same. We have different situations. I have jack for deductions. It sucks. I have all these people that live in my house, and I can't claim not a one of these rat bastard freeloaders. Oh, wait, I'm just kidding. They're not really, but you know what I mean.
I'm telling Rosie.
That's okay. She makes money. But yeah, I mean, we all have different situations and yeah. Hang on, sorry, buddy. Yeah, buddy, you got to close my door now. Go on. Middle grandson. Oh, you are doing the show? Yeah. Reason the door is closed. Apparently, I need a lock.
Hey, at least you have a door. When I'm at the house, my kids just
Right?
surreptitiously
They just
walk behind
wander
me.
through, like, boop-a-doo. Look, I got a new shirt on, Dad. Look, I got a nipple. But yeah, so it's not that we don't want to answer your questions, and from time to time we'll have a one-on-one discussion with you, but we're not posting this blanket information out for everybody to say, oh, well, Jeff and Charlie said do this, and that's the word of whatever, and I got audited because Jeff and Charlie said do that. No, no, no. You ain't putting that on me. You ain't putting it on Jeff. We don't want it. I don't want the IRS knocking on my door talking about, we hear you're giving tax advice. I'm be like, the what?
One of those new 88 armed agents will show up.
Right? And then they're gonna make me put on a plate carry and answer the door with an AR in my hand. What? I'm just saying. Turker Dan said he didn't have a stress card when he went through basic training 95. Well, you're one of the few in 95, because I know in 92 they were starting them out, because I saw them. Wasn't my unit. They were actually testing stress cards in 92 when I went through, and I was like, man, those people suck, because they're like, oh, excuse me, drill sergeant, I have a stress card. Please step back. I'm feeling my highest level of stress right now, and I need 5 minutes, and I need a trophy and a hug, please, sir. Thank you.
We in 1st to the 19th Field Artillery at Fort Sill, our battery was not part of that program, but the battery next to us was.
Oh, Lord.
And we had something for them. We stressed them the hell out.
Right? I remember when the first cherry showed up. Oh, wait, I'm not supposed to use that term, cherry. Anyhow, our first cherry private showed up with a stress card. It was the greatest thing ever. Showed up in his class A's. What?
At his duty station?
Oh, yeah. Showed up at the 118th MP company, and all us E4s were sitting out on the front steps like we did from time to time, especially if we knew there was new cherry showing up. And we're sitting out there on the stoop, right? And this guy shows up in his class A's and his brand new furry beret, and he's like, oh, I'm looking to check in, and we're like, hey, private, and we're a bunch of E4s, We're like, yeah, you should just start doing push-ups. And they're like, but you're an E4, you're just a specialist. We're like, either you do push-ups, you can't get through this door without getting through us first. So, right? Just start pushing. And we were smoking this dude in his class A's. This one in particular was great. He's like pushing. And we're like, all right, he's not so bad, right? And then all of a sudden he stops. I mean, just dead stops. We're like, nobody told you to recover. He stood out, reached into his back pocket, and pulled out a stress card. What is this? We all said. We're like, oh, hold on. Please allow me to escort you into your timeout, sir. And we walked him into Ranger Shelley's office. That dude was batshit. I'm going to tell you right now, there is no other term for that dude. He was cray, yo. And this dude's desk, it was a split door at his office that came up to like our chins, maybe, here on some of us, right? And you had to do push-ups off of his desk, as he called it. And you didn't stop till he was done. Ranger Shelley was, he was, man, that dude was nuts. And I'm just saying, yeah, it was something else. So yeah, it was. Uh-oh, Rosie's here. I'm in trouble. Anyhow, so sorry. Ranger Shelley was like, what the hell, with his Boston accent, what the hell is this? Airborne, I don't even know what you're saying. I can't do a Boston accent, so that's my best attempt. That's all I got. And this guy lost his mind. I mean, that guy went AWOL like that night. I don't think we ever saw him again. That guy just vanished. Poof, gone, thin air. Never came back. Never to be heard from again. Don't know what happened to him. Don't care. Poof, gone. Stress cards. Glad he left. You know why? If we ever got into something that where we were in the stuff, not the guy I wanted next to me is going to pull out a stress card. Excuse me. Hold on, Mr. Taliban. I'm having a stressful moment. I need you to please hold your fire.
Unbelievable.
Please continue. Okay. You know what I mean? It was just baffling to me. I was like, holy hell. But yeah, it's crazy as hell. But whatever. I don't even know how we got on that.
I don't know.
Oh, let's see. Where are we at here?
So we covered the tax thing, LLC thing.
Brian just said it's nice to be able to walk in and sit down with once a quarter. She has quite a few drivers. She says I started with when I was invested in the restaurant I managed. Well, that's cool, and I hope that she is, if she didn't already, that she has educated herself on the trucking industry, because there are some quirky things about our industry that there are a lot of tax preparers out there that don't understand our industry, and I'm willing to bet that she's, from the sound of it, probably someone who is actually willing to go out and learn that stuff. So I'm glad, man. Definitely something you should stick with if you've got one that you enjoy and is willing to sit down with you, because that's exactly what Jeff and I were talking about, was being able to find someone with a brick and mortar, maybe in the middle of the country, even if we can't get to them, that they'd be willing to sit down on a Zoom call with one of us, and be like, hey, let's go over the numbers for the quarter or the month or whatever. Because I personally want to be able to sit with somebody. I like face-to-face interaction. I like having a tactile moment where I can look at their computer screen or a paper on a desk, and we can go over line by line and see where can I improve? Where did I screw up? What needs to be where, right? And I would like that kind of professional guidance.
Being able to look someone in the eye is a key for me.
It's huge for me.
There's only a few of us on the load board meetings that actually have our cameras live, but Charlie and I are two of them. And that's why. When we're doing this stuff with corporate, we prefer to be able to look them in the eye.
Right? So, yeah. So that's something Jeff and I are looking at and looking for, and hopefully we can find someone who could take on quite a few people. That would be a nice thing if we could find that. And maybe we can, we asked ES, we've suggested to them, look, we're looking for someone that can do quality tax preparation. Not so much the bookkeeping stuff. I'd like a good bookkeeper. Don't get me wrong, because I'm not a good bookkeeper. I will freely admit that. It is one of my weaknesses. It's not my strong point. I know what to do. I know how to do it. I lack follow through. I do. I lack the ability to, not the ability, I lack the drive to sit down every month and run those numbers like I should. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Ken, now I'm stuck on furry frisbee. Thanks, Charlie. Dude, it was great, man. They show up in these furry ass berets, and you're like, what the hell is wrong? Man, shave that thing. Anyone who doesn't know about berets, look, they come, when you first buy them, they're really furry and just look like they're a big lint ball, and they look like oh my God, strawberry shortcake. For those of you old enough to know what I'm talking about there, it's just bad. And these guys wouldn't know what to do. They didn't know how to shape them, or, oh God, don't get me started. Oh, when the Army went to those blue ones, oh, my brain broke, because every time I turn around, there's some new recruit wearing a beret.
Like a poofy hat.
Oh my God. It just destroyed me. Anyhow. Yeah. So if you guys got any questions, by all means, throw them up. I don't think it's going to be a long show tonight. We've really dipped into a lot of stuff already, and I think we got a lot of the updates out we need to get in. Like I said, we are going to talk to Tony, our insurance dude from Seabright, after the show. So hopefully, definitely by next Tuesday, we're hoping to have hard, solid numbers, acceptance of insurance through Swift and the whole 9 yards, and all that sort of thing. So yeah. But if you guys have anything else you want to talk about or have questions about, by all means, throw them up there and we will get to those. What else been going on this week, man? How's your week gone, Jeff? Since you're back to work and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. I'm still at home. I haven't been to work in like 2 weeks, so.
Everybody knows freight's a little bit on the slim side right now. And it just, just because you have access to something like the load board doesn't make that any different.
Right.
Um, I only did 1,800 miles last week, and I kind of counted myself lucky on that one, given where I started in Utah. So
That's funny, Michael. Michael Ford said, I give my account all my business stuff. They give me KY for when the dreaded phone call. you know, it's a thing. Just saying. However,
yeah,
a lot of that could be alleviated with good monthly bookkeeping.
yes, which I hope to have a solution for here in the next 30 days or so.
It'll be less of a shock if you keep good monthly records, right? You'll know
Mm-hmm.
what to expect long before it happens.
Yep. So there was
Yeah.
something that on the Swift drivers, there was a bit of controversy. I don't know if you saw that thread, but somebody
Mm,
dared to say that with freight the way it is, if you're saying no to loads, you shouldn't be complaining that you're sitting. And right now, I mean, it started months ago when I went to Oregon. Again,
uh-huh.
you know, I'm still doing stuff I wouldn't normally do, man,
Right.
just to keep moving. Loads that I would have balked at before, I'm saying yes to now. It's the times we're in, and hopefully that bottom does hit here in the middle of February and we start going up. But you know, I know looking at our even I'll just put it out there, Charlie, even our membership levels in the group, guys are turning in their trucks, this, that, and the other thing. And if that's what you've got to do for you, that's fine. I've got there's no ill will here. But what I am going to say is that if you can make it through this downturn to the other side, there is a lot of money to be made
Oh
over
yeah.
the next couple of years.
And you will thrive over the next few years. Like seriously, because you will have
Right.
learned how to run a lean business.
Yep. You're probably focusing more on your expenses right now than you ever have before because you're having to squeeze every penny out of every mile.
And there's quite a
Um,
few of you who came in during this insane boom. And you're like, what the hell happened? And Jeff and I kept telling people, look, expect a huge downturn. And
yep.
everybody's like, oh no, it'll be okay. And then we've been watching it in the group. I mean, we're losing members left and right. Stop it with the lobsters. Stop it with the lobsters. Stop it. And so but we're seeing this group of folks that they'll come in to the group, right? And they'll see what we're saying. They very few will ask questions or ask
Mhm.
for help or anything. And sometimes the questions they ask for help on are things that they truly should have known already because of the contract. Look, any of you watching this right now that are not contractors at Swift Transportation, if you are looking to come over and you want to see the contract, it's real easy. Reach out to Michelle Cantrell. That's the lady that we prefer. She is someone that we have found to be the most honest, upfront, and truthful person that we've dealt with. There are people in the world out there who I know don't particularly care for. That's fine, whatever. One thing I can tell you is she is absolutely an honest person in my experience.
Mhm.
However, ask her for a copy of the contract. She will send you a contract. She will email that thing to you and give you all the time in the world you want to read that thing. If it's a month, if it's 2 months, take it to a lawyer, have that thing go over. Do not wait until the day you are supposed to sign your contract. One of the dumbest pieces of advice I have ever heard in my life is take a couple minutes and read your contract before you sign it. No, take a month, take a week, at least. Hire somebody. If you don't understand it, hire someone who's smarter than you, someone whose job it is to understand all those crazy ass legalese words and phrasing. If it costs you $1,000 to have someone read that contract to you, I promise you it is worth that $1,000. Even if you do not sign that contract, if it talks you out of signing that contract because something you didn't like in that contract, that $1,000 was well spent. Period. And if you understand that contract coming into this, that $1,000 is well spent. I don't think it's going to cost you $1,000 to get someone to read it. I'm not going to lie. It cost me as I paid a dude $1,000 retainer to go over my contract, and we spent so much time. That dude, I don't understand. It's probably because I paid him $1,000. That's where he got all his patients from, because I went through line by line and we just ate that thing up because I was not familiar with business contracts. It was not my thing. When I did the PI thing before, that was not my thing. That's why we had lawyers, right? That's not my job. My job was to look for people. My job was to watch those cheating wives and husbands. My job wasn't to draw up contracts. That's not my bag. That's why I hire people, right? So seriously, um, you need to take the time and look at that contract. Take the time. Don't wait till the day you're signing your damn contract to go over it. Michelle ain't gonna get mad at you. Nobody's gonna get mad at you. Would they prefer you just sign it? Sure. They don't care if you read it or not. Let's be real. They're selling a truck. If you don't read it, it's not their fault. It's your fault. That's just real talk, y'all. So take the time, ask for the contract. All you got to do is, hey, can I get a copy of the contract? It will be emailed to you probably that day, probably within minutes of you asking for it. That's the
Yep.
crazy part. And so many people we hear from every day, hey, what is this? I don't know how many people we've heard ask, hey, how much did we get paid? I'm like, the hell did you just ask? You've been at this how long and you don't know what you're getting paid? Come on now. That's you paid for a job. You're not running a business. You paid for a job.
Yep.
So if that hurts your feelings, I don't apologize. I'll be more than happy to send you a trophy. That's just how it's going to be. We're not here to be jerks, but we're also not here to be your best friend. We're here to be real, right? We're here to be, folks that you listen to for guidance on things that are going to help you run your business better. I'm not looking for, look, we ask you to like and subscribe and all that stuff because that helps us reach people. I get it. You know what? Honestly, I'm not too concerned about you hitting the like button. It's cool. I dig it. I could live without it. It's not going to hurt my feelings. You don't hit it, don't hit it. We get an awful lot of messages and calls and things like that saying, hey, we dig the videos. We're glad you guys are here doing what you're doing. That's all I need. I'm happy with that. I like that we help people. A lot of people get pissed off at us because we're like, dude, have you not read your contract?
Mm-hmm.
Why haven't you read that thing? I mean, you're signing, it's got to be 50 pages now, right? At least the 2 contracts you sign.
Yeah, the ICOA. Last time I looked at it in Kindle, I just downloaded it to my Kindle. It's 48 pages.
I've got one
That's
right
the
here on my desk.
ICOA. And then if you're leasing a truck through IL, that's another contract. And that's the other thing too, guys. You got 2 contracts if you're leasing a truck. Read them both.
My current ICOA is 16 pages. The other one is 45 pages.
How do you get away with 16 pages? Does it not have the full Schedule C in it?
I got it. Oh wait, I apologize. No, it's the other way around. I believe the ICOA is 45 and the equipment lease is 16. I was backwards. I apologize.
Right. Correct.
He was right. That guy right there.
But
No, and
for me, I'll always tell you that. So I've done 3 leases through Swift through IEL, and on average, it takes me a full 8-hour day to go through those contracts. Now, the last one probably not quite as long, but I'd already done 2 of them. So what I was basically doing was looking for changes.
mm-hmm.
And the other thing too, guys. So there was one thing in particular, Charlie, on my last IEL contract that I did not like, and I successfully had them change it.
Right.
It had to do with the maintenance schedule. They had the old maintenance schedule. The before the DD15 came out was still on the freaking paperwork.
It was like 20,000 miles or something like that, or
Yeah,
25,000.
Yeah. Oh well, our mechanic said. I said I don't care. This is what Freightliner says. And we
Right.
went back and forth for a little bit, but they changed it because I
And
was
guess
not
what?
gonna.
Now all of them have the right maintenance schedule on them.
That's right. So you see stuff like that. Talk to them about it. You know, most of it's not going to be negotiable. You're not going to. If you're on ERF, you're at $1.20 a mile base rate. They're not going to give you $1.25 just because your name is Bob.
Right.
Or whatever. So But yeah, there's some stuff you could say, hey, what about this? Hey, what about that?
Negotiate, ask questions. What about this? Can we change this?
And one of the questions we get a lot that we say, "What's your contract say?" is on that MRP warranty. Those of you guys that haven't read your MRP contract, everything that's covered under that warranty is actually in the contract. You, sh- you know,
Well, wait. There's been some things recently, Jeff, that have popped up that are
like
not
what?
covered in the contract, but they're now telling people, "Oh, that's covered. We got it." So they need to fix that in the contract.
They need to fix that in the contract. What I say is, especially at the beginning of the MRP leases, we were getting all these questions about what's covered.
Right.
Well, I don't know. What does your contract say? I don't have one of those contracts. You know, and and things change over time, right? We've seen guys that got in the beginning of the MRP, their balloon payments were like $11,000, and now they're
Right.
what 28 to
30,000,
30,
26 to 30
26
ish
to
is the average.
30,000, and so, you know, with things in flux like that, I'm hesitant to even give an answer to that. I don't know what your
Right.
balloon payment is. Look at your contract. What's it say? Because there's a Charlie. You could tell me which section it's in. I don't have a lease anymore, but there's that section that has the loss value,
Right.
the stipulated loss value. At the end of that last page, all the way to the right bottom, that's what you're going to owe for your balloon payment.
Right.
It's right there. So again,
And he'll tell
when
you
we
each week what you owe on the truck at that point.
right, if you have a traditional lease, like you have your contract right there, right, Charlie?
Yep.
What's your loss value this week?
We are in 131, $194,797.61.
So if you were to stroke a check for that, you could walk away with your truck today.
Yes.
That's on a traditional lease now.
Right.
The MRPs have a stipulation that you can't get out of them early, and that has to do with that warranty.
Right.
But yeah, it's right there. It took him how long to figure that out? It's right there.
I just happen to
And
have it on my desk. So yeah. But I keep normally this is in my cubby above my driver's seat, sits underneath my map book and my permit book.
mhm,
Whole folder. Just
right,
saying, it's full of paper. It's a gang load of paper. Look at that's a gang load of paper in that thing.
yeah, yeah. You want to learn things like, man, I'm not moving. How do I get moving? Well, that's not in the contract. So yeah, that's something we could definitely help you with. Help you get with some people, build some relationships, and learn how to work the system a little bit.
Right.
Um, but if it's in the contract, that's going to be our answer. What's your contract say?
Right.
And we don't do it to be mean, but as a business owner, you I'm going to get myself in trouble now, Charlie.
Do it.
You need to know you need to know that like people in the South know the Bible.
Right.
I'm just saying that contract is your business. I remember years ago when people used to use the DAP board back before smartphones were really a big thing, and they were getting phone numbers off the big board in the truck stops, writing the phone number down, and making phone calls. How many
Right.
guys did you see pouring over contracts at the lunch counter?
It was
Literally,
insane.
they would go up to the fuel desk and pay the $15 to get their 200 pages of contract,
Right.
and they'd be lining it out. And hey, what about this? Okay, click. Hey, what about this?
And then they
And
got to
these
fax it back and
and these are guys on a spot market one load contract that were doing that, right? So
those are the guys that made me decide then I don't want to do that.
right, they got off on it though. I talk to those guys all the
Yeah.
time, and they were just like, "Yeah, man, this is freaking awesome." And I'm like, "Hey, yeah, you can do
Back
that."
when you had to sit at the Flying J and you pick up the phone at the table to do your daily check call, you with your driver leader back in the day,
Yep.
it was good stuff, man. So, but yeah.
Technology has made it easier, but
Oh
still,
my God.
you got to know those contracts.
Yeah, seriously. So it's not that we're being jerks or we're trying to, make you look silly or anything like that. It's just you need to know the contracts. I mean, that's just all there is to it. Uh, you need to know that contract, and there's nothing wrong with asking for it. They will send it to you. All
Yep.
you have to do is say, "Hey, please send me a copy of the contract. I'd like to look it over." In fact, say, "Send me a traditional contract. Send me an MRP contract. Send me an FX." If you're a Swift company driver right now, and you're thinking about maybe keeping your company truck, and I, all right, I heard someone else say at one point, "Why would you keep your company truck?" Well, look, if you've been in your company truck and and you got in that thing when it was new, and you've been in that company truck and it hasn't had any problems in the last year or two, I absolutely would think about keeping that company truck and making that my lease truck.
Hmm.
Color me nutty. Sounds like a good truck to me. Hasn't had
Versus
problems. You know the history.
my last company truck, which was a Volvo with a Mercedes engine in it, that I got when it had like 18,000 miles on it, ran it as a
Right.
mentor. They tried to get me to do that deal. Hey, why don't you just keep your company truck? I'm like, no.
Right. Hey, Matt Nissen, good to see you. Glad you made it. You're only an hour and a half into the show, but I'm glad you're here. Robbie Mead, I saw you pop in too, buddy. Glad you're here doing your thing. Yeah. So oh, Anthony's having one of those days. Load I got yesterday to be picked up today got canceled. Next load was 100 miles away. Shipper says the load was already picked up. One of those days. Man, that sucks.
It does.
That just sucks, man. I feel your pain, sir. I absolutely feel your pain. I hate when that stuff happens. Unfortunately, it is kind of a thing we have to live with. And good Lord, man, there's got to be a better system somehow. But whatever, it is what it is right now.
So Jonah Green is stuck in Memphis. So I'm wondering if are you at the terminal? Because there's kind of a trick that I learned about Memphis. Not that it'll help you at all, but how many people are sitting there bobtailed?
It's a weather thing right now, Jeff.
Is it?
Yeah. When Reese called me earlier, they were actually sending all their people home because of weather they had rolling in. I guess there's a ton of ice and sleet and that kind of stuff rolling in. And he was actually he was the last one in the office, and hell, that was 3 hours before the show, 2 hours before the show, and he was the last one in the office heading home to get logged in from home so he could do work from there.
Mm.
So I think
But
there's
yeah.
a
So
weather problem.
what I've learned about the bigger terminals, so Memphis, Phoenix, West Valley City, you can kind of get a feel for how far down the line you might be if you're there by looking at how many guys are sitting there bobtailed, and then in the morning how many of them have cleared out. That'll tell you
Right.
how well freight's moving.
Yeah.
But
Hey, and walk in and ask if you could talk to a planner. Be like, hey, just wondering if I could. I mean, I don't know what Memphis. I look. I avoid Memphis. Honestly, I don't
I haven't
know.
been there in a long time.
Oh, he's at Jerupa.
Oh, okay. I thought you said Memphis for some reason.
Someone else said they were in Memphis. I don't know. What the hell?
I don't
I
know. We're
lost. I
lost.
lost track of somebody. Anyhow, so but walk in. Oh, Jonah said he's stuck in Memphis. Uh, but walk in and ask him, hey, can I talk to a planner real quick? And when they're like, what do you want? Be like, yeah, I was just curious, should I plan on doing a 34 or is there anything I can help with locally? Things like that. Look, I'm just telling you, sometimes just going in and talking to someone face to face will get you squared away. So yeah, Paul said he was in Memphis this morning. Apparently, they got some nasty weather pulling in right now because, like I said, Jeff Reese was rolling the hell out of the office in expedited fashion. See what I did there?
Yeah.
Expedited. Oh, my bad. I
Oh my.
apologize. Hey, if any of you guys want to call in, we got some time left. Not a whole lot of time, but 813-548-3722. The phones are open. I'm looking at that screen. There's no one on it. No one's called. That's cool too. I mean, if you don't want to talk, I get it. Whatever. Matt said he's in Anderson, Indiana, going to Nestle in the morning. Jonah Green said Michelle is a good person. I agree. I like Michelle. I dig her. She intimidates Jeff. He's afraid we're a big red
A little
nose.
bit. No, it's those facial expressions of hers. Any of you that have ever met her, she does things with her face that
It's fun to watch.
it is. Now you definitely know if she's being serious or not because her face will tell you. She's one of those people. Um,
Oh, and if you piss her off, you'll know by her face too.
yeah,
It's great. She can't hide it. I love
no,
it. Every now and then I'll say something, her face will change. I'm like, oh, there's a cord.
yeah,
And then I get a look, and she'll say things to me that we shouldn't say on here because they're bad words.
mm.
And the trophy people might get upset if I say those kinds of words. Just saying. Whatever. I
I mean, you just made the trophy people upset anyway, so who cares?
don't think that they know that they're the trophy people though.
Oh, okay.
So it's okay. Oh, if you don't know if you're a trophy person, you're probably a trophy person.
So kind of like the controversy around Weird Al Yankovic's Amish Paradise. Everybody was upset because he made fun of the Amish, and he was like, "Well, they're not going to hear it anyway."
Right?
Love that
No
guy.
real Amish guy ever heard that song. I don't know if I can say it. Is that accurate? I mean, I guess
I,
there's a chance they heard it. They could be walking through a store or something. I don't know.
I
That's
guess.
weird. Oh, Bitcoin John's got a good repo. Getting paid to run empty from El Paso to Phoenix. There you go. Be careful. Empty
Yeah.
trailers are sketchy sometimes. Y'all know. So yeah, let's go ahead and start wrapping this up. If no one's calling, no one's got questions. If you guys got anything you want to get us to answer, by all means, throw them up. For those of you who got in late, I would recommend going back to the beginning of the show. We did talk about insurance stuff, and it's too much to go over now and recap and all that sort of thing. So please, by all means, go back if you could. And we will have some updates coming out hopefully tomorrow in the private Facebook groups. And hopefully by next Tuesday's show, we will be able to actually talk about something on here. Hoping.
Okay, Brett.
Well, I'm hoping. I'm not stating a fact. I say that I'm hoping that by next Tuesday we could come on here and talk about some stuff. We should have some information to talk about that's new by then. Whether or not it's the whole deal or not, couldn't tell you.
Right.
Yeah. So the ongoing issue, Anthony McHugh said, the ongoing issues I've had with Defcos turned out to be a wiring harness, had an internal break in the wiring and messed up my dozer. Seems to be good now. You know, that's something that those guys at Pittsburgh are great at figuring out is wiring issues on things like that. But I mean, it's expensive to find out, though. No joke. So I'm sorry it took them so long to get you squared away, Anthony. Hopefully, that's really the whole real deal.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. With my issue, Bruce told me it's probably an electrical issue, and he has encouraged me to make it up to his shop and have his electrical engineer, which he has on staff.
that's
Go
just
figure.
crazy,
Take a look at my truck.
right?
So I'm sure that's not a inexpensive proposition, but if it gets it fixed, you know. See, mine is not consistent though, Charlie. I'd explained it to you. It
Mm-hmm.
happens under very specific circumstances. It's got to be a heavier load, like over 40,000 pounds,
Right.
and pulling a long grade, and then I'll get this low quality def light,
That's just crazy.
and then it'll derate, and then once I hit the flat again, after about 15 minutes, it just goes away.
Right.
So, yep, weird stuff.
So yeah, just to recap, hey, go back, you guys, and make sure you're setting those PTAs to when you're empty, not for the morning after or something like that, because you're screwing yourself out of that 10 hours or whatever. Chances are they're not going to uh plan you for an hour after you're empty anyhow. Let's just be real with freight being what it is. So yeah, make sure you're setting those PTAs.
I wanted to address Blackbeard here a second.
I meant to
So,
star that and I forgot about it.
I officially hold two MOSs in the Army, 13 Bravo and 19 Delta. So I was thinking about doing a little kind of like Charlie there and putting some cross cannons and some cross sabers on my wall to represent my two
I dig it.
military specialties that I
I
have.
dig it. But yeah, so yeah, Blackbeard, get him, man, get him. Boring ass wall. It's a pretty wall though. I ain't gonna lie. I love
It's
that wood pattern.
oh,
I do. Ken Kelly said, "Okay, Brett, LOL. That can be the new catchphrase." Thank you. I appreciate you, brother. Like I said, I hope. Uh, excuse me. Trigger Dan said, "I have an LLC. How do I file my taxes? Do I file under the LLC or do I file individual?" I'm going to tell you, you need to talk to a tax professional, sir.
but the answer is yes. By the way,
There you go. Did that just make your head go?
so so here's the thing: when you have an LLC, like I'm taxed as an S corp, so whatever. I actually do two tax returns. I do individual and I do corporate. So you need to talk to your tax guy and find out if you're a sole prop. I'm not sure if you have to do that or not. I think that if I had to guess, not being a professional, notice how I throw that out there every chance I
Right.
get, not a professional, is that if you're running payroll, you got to follow both. If you're not, you do it like I did it for years and years and just file one return. So um, that's about as much as I'm willing to say on
Right.
that.
So Anthony said, I have to do a 10. Should I put my PTA for now or when the 10 is up?
No,
So what I was advised was set it for your empty time. Chances are you're not going to get a load thrown on you right now that has to pick up right now. And that way you're in the queue in that planning, that PTA planning window from when you were empty, right? There's a chance, and you know what? Deal with it when it pops up.
well, you know what Dana has told me to do for the longest time since this whole downturn started is to set my PTA for when I'm empty and be honest about the hours I have left in that macro. If
Right,
it's an hour, it's an hour. But the PTA is set.
right.
And
You
so I
were
go
available for
find the
that
truck
hour.
stop and I go to sleep. And 10 hours later, I'm still waiting for a load, but my PTA is still set for 10 hours ago, which was me further ahead in line.
So there you go. Yeah. All right, guys. Last call. If you got any questions, by all means, throw them up. We will dip into them real quick. Otherwise, we're going to wrap this thing here in the next couple of minutes. Like I said, set those PTAs, get them set for now for your empty times. Get in that queue early because of the way that a lot of the planning areas are planning based on PTA. So yeah, it's hard to even get favors going right now in a lot of places. I mean, not too long ago, I actually called. Look, I called a planner direct that can usually kind of slip in sometimes, and was told, "Look, yo, I got to plan straight by PTA. There ain't no plane right now. Got no room. Too many people waiting."
And you're not the only one that's built those relationships that I've heard that from.
Right. So, get those PTAs set them legit. Tell them, if you only got an hour, then by all means, set it for that hour. Uh, and Anthony, that's typically how I have done it. But in these freight times being what they are, that is hurting people. And they are advising, sorry, he said, good to know. Anthony McHugh said, good to know. I thought the PTA was to be set for when you're available after your 10 is up. Typically, that would be a correct statement. However, if you were available when you were empty, right? And let's say you had an hour left, then you should have set your PTA for your empty time and said, I have 1 hour left.
Yep.
Right? We're not telling you to be shady.
Yep.
We're just telling you that the advice we're being given.
Go with the flow.
Exactly.
Or as our Marine Corps friends are fond of saying, Semper Gumby.
Exactly. Semper Gumby.
It's you have to tweak your operation a little bit as things become necessary. We've done this before, Charlie. Back in 08, 09,
Right.
we were doing this. And Dana told us, just be honest. If you've got 20 minutes, let's say 20 minutes.
Right.
But by gosh, put that PTA for your empty call time.
Absolutely. Look, when they're planning by PTA, man, I'm telling you, it sucks. Now, if you don't want to even get in the planning screen until tomorrow morning, that's on you.
Yeah,
Just
but
don't be mad.
don't be complaining about it though.
Right.
You know, we've seen people, oh, I just got done with my 34. No, they got no loads. That's BS. Well, when was your PTA set for? Well, due to my
And you're
34.
34.
Well, there's no freight in Warupa Valley right now. So guess what? You're waiting another 2 days.
Right. That's when your PTA is available.
And then, you know, they end up deadheading home to Texas. Just saying.
I saw. Right. Just saying. You broke me. You broke me. Oh man, be careful on US 67 in Missouri and Arkansas, Robbie Mead said.
Those who know. That's all I'm gonna say.
That was great. Robbie Mead said, be careful out there on US 67 in Missouri and Arkansas, you guys. So yeah. Apparently a lot of that central area is getting some really nasty stuff, you guys. Seriously. So look, we're gonna wrap this thing up. We will see you next Tuesday here on Contractors Corner at 6 p.m. Eastern time, like we have been for well over a year and a half. And we will be here to answer your questions and comments and talk about those things that are important to you. The contractors here at Swift Transportation, those of you thinking about becoming contractors, Swift Transportation, by all means, feel free to reach out to myself or Jeff Morton here. You can find me, Charley Mahon, Mahon, on Facebook. You can find Jeff. He's listed as Jeffrey Morton, Morton, on Facebook. We use our real names. I know it's crazy on the Facebooks. Feel free to reach out, send us a message, and we can try and talk to you there. You know, if there's things we can help with, by all means, let us know. If there's other things that you'd like to see us doing a little more of, by all means, let us know. You know, reach out, use those comments below. Tell us if we're off base somewhere. I'll take it. Let's talk, man. You know, I know we've had some people lately that think that maybe we're saying something wrong somehow, like the contract stuff. You know what I mean? Well, let's talk about it. That's what we're here for. You know, it is a community. We are all in this together, trying to get through this thing and run a better business together. So let us know what we can do for you. And like I said, hopefully we're going to hear some more information about this insurance stuff. Jeff and I are going to get to this call directly as soon as we finish this up. So hopefully we'll have some good news, guys. Jeff, you got anything you want to say?
Just be careful out there.
All right. You heard it. Jeff said be careful, so you better do it. Watch this. I got this. That's Jeff. I did it. I had to think about it. I'm Charley. This is Contractors Corner. You guys be safe. Take care of each other. No one's out here looking out for us but us. And we'll see you next week, Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern time, right here on Contractors Corner. Y'all be safe.